Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. I really hope you're finding these videos helpful and useful in your journey with OCD and anxiety, but also in your recovery, because that is where you ultimately deserve to be. You don't deserve to have OCD controlling your lives any longer. It creates so much anxiety and fear and distress, and none of us deserve to be there. I've had this dominate my life for a large portion of 40 years. And I really hope that I can give back with these videos, because I'm at a place of healing now, and I hope I can pass on the knowledge I have learned throughout this time to help you guys. Please remember to like the videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into it. So in today's video, I want to talk about a crucial part of your recovery from OCD and anxiety. And that is, it's an important part of the puzzle. It is your awareness. Some people have better awareness than others, and it's something that I felt like I didn't have earlier on in my own journey with OCD and anxiety, but I do now. And I think it's something I definitely got better at over the years. Because when we have good awareness, we're much more in tune to when we're getting hooked into those intrusive thoughts, all those obsessions, when we're about to engage in a ritual, any of our compulsions that we have with OCD. And like I say, I feel like that is something that I've got better at. And I think it's something that you really do work at, and you just become more aware of when we're getting pulled in by OCD and anxiety to ruminate and you try and figure everything out, try and problem solve, try and analyze everything, try and come to some level of certainty that ultimately never comes. And once I became more aware of when I was getting pulled in and hooked into a thought, it was much easier to disengage, to let it be there and, move on with my day. Because the problem is when we get sucked in, we're so far down the line, so far down the OCD rabbit hole that it's really hard to get back, because we're feeding into it and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. And it's really important to say that, because once we're down that rabbit hole, it's very hard to disengage. It's hard to pull back, and we're basically, it's just a revolving door. We're just going round and round, and we have to kind of try and be more aware of when those thoughts are sucking us in. I had it happen to me yesterday. I still have OCD, but I would say I'm at a place of healing, because it doesn't control my life anymore. I'm very aware of when it's trying to pull me in and dominate me and try and pull me into a thought loop. And it happened to me, like I say, yesterday I had a thought about something that, something that wasn't nice to think about, and, something might have triggered me a little bit, and I could feel myself going down the thought loop, that pulled into OCD's way of trying to grab my attention and get me to kind of ruminate and think about this trigger. And I was like, no, I know what's happening here. And I could let that be there and move on. And I felt after that, it went, it just dissolved on its own, because I think because I got there a bit earlier. Now if I'd gone on and on with that and really thought about it and, pulled it apart and try and figure everything out, and which never is usually a good thing, unless it's productive and it's something that we need to do in our day-to-day life for a purpose. But if it's just something to worry over and it's not going to bring us to any good place, we need to disengage earlier, because if we get hooked into it, it'll grab our attention and we will get more involved in it, and it'll just get bigger and bigger. And along with that, all those uncomfortable emotions will come, all the anxiety and panic. And that's what I was starting to feel yesterday. I could feel pangs of anxiety because I had this uncomfortable thought, and the more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable. You may notice the feeling first. You might not necessarily notice the thought first. The awareness for you could be the feeling, because sometimes it's either or with me. I might notice the thought first, or I might notice that I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling anxious or panicky, but it doesn't really matter. It's just having awareness into our cognition and the way we're thinking about things. And the earlier, like I say, we can do that, the easier it is to just let go and let them be there. We're not trying to stop anything here. We're not trying to push anything out, because that is just the most unhelpful thing for OCD and anxiety. It just makes it worse, and it makes it bounce back quicker. If we can let those thoughts be there, they will dissolve on their own. They'll just fizzle out, because that's how it works. And that is the goal of our thoughts, is just letting them be there. All those uncomfortable thoughts that we don't want to think about, we just let them be there. And I find that so much easier now, and I can only, realize now that is because I've practiced it for so long that it's almost second nature to me now. Like I get an uncomfortable thought and I'll be really passive. I've talked about this in a previous video, is to be really passive with those thoughts. Like, okay, OCD, I know you're trying to hook me in. I know you're trying to get me to ruminate, pull this apart, try and problem solve and analyze and just everything else that OCD will try and make us do. But if I can be just like, yeah, whatever, yeah, nice try, OCD, not today, and then move on with my day, we're not pushing anything away. We're just letting it coexist with us. We're letting it be there. And it's like a relaxed awareness of our thoughts. This is the problem with this. I don't want anyone to turn this into an obsession. We're not standing guard of our thoughts. That is not what we're doing here, because that is an OCD obsession in itself. It's, when we're hyper vigilant on high alert of the thoughts we're thinking. It's not about that. It's just noticing when we get those intrusive thoughts that are trying to get us involved and hooked into the obsession or the trigger or thought, whatever it may be. We're just noticing it earlier on, so it doesn't get as big as it could do and take you on a really, rough and dark path where we don't deserve to be. We don't deserve to, thinking about pulling all these things apart is not, taking us to a good place at all. It's taking us down a path where we're going to feel a lot of uncomfortable emotions, and it's going to get us into a state of anxiety and, distress. We're going to feel a lot of anger, shame, frustration, all those uncomfortable emotions that we don't deserve to feel, because OCD is very sneaky as well. OCD will try and make you believe that, well, what if this, it's the ultimate question I always think with OCD is, well, what if this isn't OCD, but if I do this, I'll feel better. It'll always try and trick us into keeping, on board with it and just trying to work everything out. It'll try any way to get our attention, and it's just being aware of that. And it's like I say, it's awareness of when those things happen and just realizing that this is OCD. You've got to realize that when those questions arise, like I just said, the thought, well, what if it isn't OCD, but one more ritual and then I'll feel better. Just knowing that is OCD and having awareness that is OCD is a lot easier to pull back from it. And it's going to take time. This isn't a quick fix. I talk about this a lot in my videos. There's no quick fix to this. It takes a lot of time and practice, and it's something that I have practiced for a long time now, but it doesn't have to go on for as long as I did. I feel now that I'm actually doing the work where I think for a long time I wasn't. I let OCD control me. And I know it's not easy, it's not your fault that you have OCD, but I certainly wasn't doing the work when I thought, because if say you're doing exposure and response prevention, it's all right exposing ourselves to our, thoughts and our triggers and all these things. But if we're not actually putting the work in and letting the thoughts be there and, moving forward, we're not actually doing the work. We might be doing all these exposures, but we're not actually putting the work in. And what I wanted to get across in this video, that having good awareness of when, OCD is trying to trick us, when OCD is trying to hook us in, is all great things to have in your recovery toolbox, because the earlier you can do that, the less invested you will be in it. And it will be much easier to break away and let those thoughts be there. Have a relaxed awareness that it's there, and that's 100% fine. You need to be aware that it's still there. We're not pushing this away. And I really do always stress that, because we're not trying to stop it. Because trying to stop something is a surefire way to get it to just come back. And that is definitely the place you don't want to be. But having that relaxed awareness that it's there is a great place to be, because we're much more likely to disengage and move forward with our day. But because back in the day when I was in a really bad place, I'd find myself so far down the path of OCD, down that rabbit hole, just trying to figure things out and, trying to analyze, and I was ruminating, and it was just, I'm Googling things, I'm doing all these things that I know I'm not supposed to be doing. But then I was doing it anyway, I didn't have the awareness, that, and this is what I'm talking about really. I didn't have that awareness that that's what I was actually doing. It wasn't helpful in any way, shape or form to recover from this. So yeah, it's just about growing that awareness, not being on guard. We're not guarding our thoughts in any way, shape or form. Any thought is allowed. That is a really helpful statement when you're getting better from OCD and anxiety. Any thought is allowed. We're not stopping any kind of thoughts. Your thoughts don't define you. And that is crucial as well. We're not changing our thoughts. We're just letting them be there. And you will find it much, much easier as time goes on to just disengage and move forward with your day. And you'll get there. It'll take some time and it takes work, but this is where we want to be ultimately. We don't want to have OCD controlling us to the degree it does, because it's not a good place for anyone to be. And I know that from personal experience. And I really do hope that these videos are providing you with those tools to help you move forward, and move forward in the right way though. Because I've done things wrong for so long. I know I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. But once I grew that awareness that, these are OCD thoughts trying to hook me in, this is OCD trying to trick me. Once I had that awareness, it became much, much easier, to just pull back, let them be there and move forward. So please let me know in the comments if this has helped you in your recovery, and if it's something you struggle with, let me know too. I really hope these videos are providing you with the information that you need to actually get back on that road to recovery, because you can do it. You are not your thoughts. You are so much more than that. I'll see you in the next video.